Are you struggling to try and get the rest of the people within your organization to support you in sales? Maybe you've had this experience. You make a sale of your service, or maybe it's a product. Relationship is solid, contract or proposal has been signed. You transition the now new client or customer on to the next department who's going to deliver the product or service, only to find out later that they weren't really supported the way you had hoped. Or worse yet, the customer or client comes back to you and complains about how other departments are treating them. This has long-lasting effects, as you can imagine. It limits your ability to get referrals, and it makes it really difficult to try and ever sell more business to that customer or client again. And worse yet, word could get out that you are part of an organization that doesn't support the customer or client. This sounds like something you've experienced or you're concerned you may experience. Hold on a second. I'm going to give you a very straightforward approach, method, if you will, that you can use in order to engage the rest of your team in support of your selling. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore, and I help you learn how to be a top performing sales professional so that you can earn more in less time. If that sounds good to you, then stay tuned and let's jump right into it. Now, first off, before I jump into this strategy, if you want more details, my latest book, which depending on when you're reading this or watching this, maybe not so latest, the Sales Multiplier Formula dives into the strategy in depth, and it's called Team-Based Selling. So if you'd like more information, you can grab it there. But let me give you the strategy or the method I'd suggest. When it comes to your clients or your customers, start with this. Understand who it is you're selling to, right? So you probably know that, but more importantly, make that connection with who you're selling to and how the other departments can support them. So you really start with this. Identify all the other departments or working groups that will interact with your customer or client. So just take a minute, write them down, create a list, if you will. Once you've identified who those people or departments are, then identify what is it that they bring to the customer or client. What benefit do they provide? What value do they provide? Who might they interact with? What we're doing is we're creating a little bit of a profile here, which is important relative to the next steps I'm going to share with you. So once you've identified who else department-wise supports your clients or customers, and specifically what they offer, are they managing accounts? Are they interacting relative to the operation and supporting the client or customer in whatever the services you provided? Are they engineering and helping design a product that your customer has decided that they want? So once you've identified that, now we're going to flip the script. So that's how the departments support the customer or the client. I want you to flip the script. What benefit would this client or customer long-term bring to those departments? So this is the tricky one, right? So let's take the obvious. Let's take the last example I shared, and let's assume for a moment that your customer or client is interacting with an engineering department within your company. Long term, if this customer or client is happy with whatever it is you're selling them, chances are they'll come back again and again, and maybe refer others. So what's the benefit to the engineer or the engineering department? Well, the obvious is they get to keep their job because you're able to bring back customers or clients, but they won't want to hear that tip. But think about this a little bit deeper. What engineering is always looking for is new ideas, right? They've got this design that they're trying to create or customize, and believe it or not, that actually excites some engineers. So if you bring forward the right clients or customers, it's a chance for engineering to test new ideas, to get feedback on new designs, right? So you can see how what we're doing here is saying, well, what's the benefit to the internal department relative to if we continue to work with these clients or customers? Let's use another example. What's the benefit to accounting or finance who are collecting payments, right? That's pretty transactional. Well, let's take a look for a minute. Again, let's set aside the obvious. Without that customer or client, accounting or finance would not have a job. But aside from that, what else? Well, finance or accounting are often looking to make forecasts into the future, right? They're making predictions about future expenses, future projections on revenue and profit. So if you've got strong, solid client or customer relationships, finance, maybe the department manager, the VP, the director, could actually reach out to these clients and to have a discussion with them about their future projections for sales. I see this all the time where a company that I'm working with is trying to assess what does the future look like relative to sales. what I always suggest is we'll start with your existing clients or customers. If whatever you sell is something that they may or could buy again, why don't you reach out to those that you have a good relationship with and just ask what their future predictions are? You see, if you sell something that's repetitive, your clients or customers themselves forecast their needs into the future. And in most cases, they're willing to share that with you. It's no guarantee you're going to get the sale, but they're willing to share that information, which makes the life of somebody in finance who's doing these forecasts or predictions much easier. I also have a client, for example, that's trying to figure out the best way to set up payment terms. So what I suggested is contact your best clients in this example and ask them what payment terms work for them and have a discussion and dialogue to figure out what works for them, because what works for them will likely work well for your other clients in that situation. So you can see that if you take a moment and dig deep, each of these different departments internally in your company gain some benefit, aside from keeping their job, to supporting and helping your clients or customers. So that's step one. Step two is, okay, now that we have this information and we've created these parallels, if you will, benefits to the internal departments relative to clients or customers, if you just go and share that with them, that may get their interest a bit, but most times it'll be met with some sort of pushback, right? So what I'd suggest you do is, once you've identified this, you go to each department. So you sit down with the director of finance, you sit down with the VP of ops, right? And you say, look, I would like to sell more. I believe I can sell more. You're going to have examples of future customers or clients you're going after here. That's a key. What are those clients or customers you're pursuing? And then you say, I'd like your help to close these new accounts, these new clients, these new customers. Here's some things that I was thinking of. How could you help me? So you put the question forward. This is also something you can do by attending their department meeting and sharing. Here's where I'm trying to go as far as who I'm trying to close or bring on. And then you ask, how do you think you could help me get there? Now, you have to be careful how you ask, because you might get some pushback to say, well, hey, that's your job. But if you can share examples of, if we can find more great clients, like client ABC, who's given us some ideas of future forecasts, I think it's going to be helpful to you. So you start to tie in and essentially sell the internal departments on the benefits to supporting you working with and trying to close new clients or customers. So you take these ideas, you have the benefits that these new clients or customers will bring to each department, then you include those in your discussion as selling points. Hey, if we can get more clients like this, it's going to help you guys with that. Hey, if we can get more customers like this, you have to give them specific examples of customers that they've had a good experience with internally. We can get more things like that. We can test our design ideas. We can do some field testing to make sure the quality is sufficient. So what you'll notice here is that we're working backwards. And if you're in sales, you might be a little bit frustrated right now, thinking, well, jeepers, it's hard enough to sell customers, Shawn. I don't want to have to sell people internally. Well, the team-based selling approach, that's the foundation. You have to convince people internally that they can support you, that they're important as part of the equation to supporting new business, new potential clients or customers. And if you can do that effectively using the steps I've shared with you, what you're going to do is gain their buy-in and ultimately their support. Now, let me just give you a little bit of a caveat here. Is everybody in each of these departments going to buy in? No. You're going to meet some people that maybe don't like their job, don't like you, don't have anything to do. They hate the idea of customers and customer service and sales. So you're not going to get everybody's buy-in, but you'll be surprised at how many people you can get bought in. And once you do that, once you see the signs that, hey, they're supportive, here's the last step. Well, I'll give you a bonus step in a minute, but here's the last step I want you to apply. Periodically, when appropriate, bring some of these people that are excited, right? Let's call them champions. Within each department, there's going to be a couple people that are like, yes, this is a great idea. I'd love to help. Periodically bring them into earlier prospect meetings. Now, you're going to have to prep them for it. You don't want them saying things awkwardly, but there's nothing wrong with bringing somebody from finance into a prospect meeting, as long as the prospect knows it's happening and finance doesn't start going off about payment terms and stuff that is inappropriate at the time. They can sit in and experience this. This does a couple things for you. First off, from a client or customer perspective, it suggests, hey, I'm part of a bigger team here to support you. So that's good, right? That's helpful. Also, it educates the other departments on exactly what it's like to sell. You see, that's the big challenge here. Most of them don't know how hard it is to sell. And so unless you give them that experience of participating or sitting into a virtual meeting, a presentation you're doing, they'll never, ever know. Some people will buy in and they'll believe you, others not so much. Okay. So that's the last step, is getting them involved a little bit and prepping them for it. Again, you want to let them know what's coming and what you don't want them to say to make sure it goes successfully. Here's the bonus tip for you. When you get a new client or customer, a win, I want you to celebrate by telling these departments that you just brought on this client or customer thanks to their help, and give examples. So let's say, for example, you only get one person in ops that's excited about this. You bring them into a meeting with a new client and you close that deal. You contact or you reach out to the director of ops or the entire operations team and CC finance and maybe some other departments that you've been trying to work with on. And you say, just wanted to let everybody know we just closed company ABC. Shawn from ops sat in the early meetings. Thanks to his help, or thanks to her help, we've been able to bring on this new client. I want to thank you all for your support. So what we're doing here, the bonus tip is you want to reinforce the positive outcomes of bringing on new business and really reassure these departments they've been helping you. So what you're doing, this is not I guess I should mention this is not a short path. This is not going to happen overnight. And it's going to take some work on your part. But if you plan to stick with your current employer, you like what you sell, you're just struggling a bit with getting buy-in from the rest of the departments to support you and to ensure that it's easy to sell the customer or client the next time, this is the way to do it. I refer to it as team-based selling. And as mentioned, you'll find more detail in my book, The Sales Multiplier Formula. So hope you've enjoyed this, another tip or strategy, if you will, to get engagement of those around you to help you sell more. If you'd like more, there's obviously other videos you can watch over here. I never know where to point. Over here, there'll be another video that you can watch that's teed up next. And I've obviously have lots. There'll be another video teed up here for you to watch next. And particularly if you'd like to improve your selling strategies, next, there'll be a video teed up here for you to watch. And if you'd like more strategies on how to sell, tactics and methods to use, make sure you subscribe and you can click the notification button. That way you'll get notified each and every time I release a new video, which is typically, I try and do every few weeks, depends on how much I travel. But nonetheless, hope you enjoy them. Appreciate you watching. Make sure you click subscribe and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Let's get out there and go sell something. We'll talk to you soon.